The great hall of the Valorian Empire was silent. 12 species had gathered here, each one powerful enough to destroy entire worlds. They had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had never known fear. Until now. High Arbiter Thulok stood at the center of the chamber. His body was made of living crystal, and light passed through him like water through glass. He was old, so old that he remembered when his species first touched the stars. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched species evolve and go extinct. But he had never felt this cold feeling in his chest before. "The scouts have confirmed it," he said. His voice echoed through the hall. "The humans have achieved faster than light travel." The chamber erupted in noise. The Dreth, massive creatures with 4 arms and skin like stone, roared in anger. The Veth, small beings with soft fur and large eyes, trembled and whispered to each other. The Coral, who communicated through light patterns in their skin, flashed red and orange in alarm. Silence. Thulox raised his hand. The chamber went quiet. "I know what you are thinking. They are just one species. They come from a small planet on the edge of the galaxy. They have only been in space for a few hundred years. How dangerous can they be?" He walked to the center of the room, where a holographic display flickered to life. It showed a small blue planet, third from its yellow sun. "Let me show you," Thulok said. The display changed. It showed images of Earth's history. Wars. So many wars. Humans fighting each other with sticks and stones. Then with swords. Then with guns. Then with weapons that could destroy entire cities in a single flash of light. "They split the atom," Thulok said quietly. "They created weapons that could end all life on their planet. And do you know what happened? They did not destroy themselves. They looked at the fire they had created, and they said, 'Not today.' They put the weapons away. They built more. They pointed them at each other for decades. And still, they did not die." The display showed more. Plagues that killed millions. Climate disasters. Economic collapses. Each time, the humans fell. Each time, they got back up. "The Elder Archives speak of them," Thulox continued. "They call humans the Undying, not because they cannot be killed. They die easily, in fact. They are soft. They are fragile. They live for only 100 years at most. But their species does not know how to stay down." A Dreth commander stood up. His name was Gorath, and he had conquered a dozen worlds. "We should strike now, before they grow stronger. We have 3,000 warships. They have barely reached their own moon. We can end this threat before it begins." Thulok shook his head slowly. "The archives also speak of what happened the last time we tried to destroy a rising species. It was before any of you were born, before your species even existed. We found a young race, much like the humans. We decided they were too dangerous to live. We sent our fleets." He paused. The silence in the chamber was heavy. "That species is gone now. But so is the empire that tried to destroy them. Both sides burned. The war lasted 1,000 years. When it ended, the galaxy was empty. We rose from the ashes, but we never forgot the lesson." The display changed again. It showed a human woman in a military uniform. She was young, with black hair and sharp eyes. Her name appeared below her image: Commander Una Park, United Earth Defense Fleet. "This is the human who will receive our message," Thulok said. "We have decided. We will not attack. We will warn them. We will tell them to stay in their own space. Perhaps, if we are lucky, they will listen. Perhaps they will not come." On Earth, Commander Una Park sat in her small office at the Sol Space Command Center. She was tired. She had been working for 16 hours straight, reviewing the data from humanity's newest achievement, the first successful test of the faster-than-light drive. It had worked. After 100 years of trying, after countless failures and setbacks, humanity had finally broken the light barrier. The stars were no longer just points of light in the sky. They were destinations. Her console beeped. A new signal had been detected. Una frowned. The signal was not coming from any human source. It was coming from outside the solar system. She pressed a button. "This is Commander Park. What do we have?" "Ma'am, we're not sure." The technician's voice came through the speaker. It's a message. An alien message. We've been trying to translate it, but our systems don't recognize the language." Una's heart stopped for a moment. First contact. After all these years of wondering, of hoping, of fearing, it was finally happening. "Send it to my station," she said, "and get Admiral Kim on the line." Admiral Taiwu Kim was a man who had seen too much. He was 63 years old, and his hair had turned white from stress, not age. He had fought in the collapse wars, when Earth's governments had fallen apart and humanity had nearly destroyed itself. He had lost his wife and daughter in the soul bombing. He had nothing left except his duty. When he arrived at the command center, Una was waiting for him. Her face was pale. "What is it?" he asked. "The translation just came through, sir." She handed him a tablet. "It's short." Tai will read the message. It was only a few lines, to the species known as humans. "We are the Galactic Council. We have watched you for a long time. We have seen what you are capable of. We are sending you this warning. Stay. Do not come. For your sake and ours." Tai Wu read it again. Then he laughed. It was not a happy laugh. "They're afraid of us," he said. "The galaxy has been watching us this whole time, and they're afraid of us." Una nodded slowly. "What do we do, sir?" Tai Wu looked at the message again. He thought about his wife. He thought about his daughter. He thought about all the people who had died in the wars, in the plagues, in the disasters. He thought about how many times humanity had been knocked down, and how many times they had gotten back up. "We do what we've always done," he said. "We keep going. We don't stop because someone tells us to. We didn't stop when the ice came. We didn't stop when the bombs fell. We're not going to stop now." He handed the tablet back to Una. "Tell them we received their message. Tell them we understand their concern. And tell them we're coming anyway." Far across the galaxy in the great hall of the Valorian Empire, the 12 species gathered again. This time, they did not argue. They did not shout. They did not make plans for war. Instead, they prayed. The Dreth prayed to their god of war, asking for strength. The Veth prayed to their god of peace, asking for protection. The Coral prayed to their ancestors, asking for guidance. Each species in their own way sent their hopes into the universe. They prayed that the humans would listen. They prayed that the humans would stay on their small blue planet. They prayed that they would never have to face the undying in battle. High Arbiter Thulox watched them pray. He did not join them. He was too old for prayers. He had seen too much to believe that the universe listened to the wishes of small beings. He looked at the image of Earth, still floating in the center of the chamber. Such a small planet. Such a young species. And yet, the entire galaxy trembled at the thought of them. "I hope you're right to pray," Thulox whispered to himself. "But I fear your prayers will go unfulfilled." He was right. 18 months had passed since the warning came. 18 months of building, planning, and preparing. And now, the UEDF Dauntless floated in the darkness of space. Far from Earth, far from everything humanity had ever known. Captain Minho Lee stood on the bridge, looking at the view screen. In front of him was Station Velen 7. a massive structure made of metal and glass that hung in the void like a jewel. Lights flickered across its surface. Ships of 100 different designs docked at its ports. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "We're receiving docking permission," said his communications officer. "They're surprised we're here, sir." Minho smiled. "I imagine they are. Tell them thank you, and that we come in peace." He turned to his team. Jisoo Han, the xenolinguist, was checking her translation device for the 100th time. She was nervous, but trying not to show it. Next to her stood Byung-Yi Cho, the security chief, a large man with a shaved head and calm eyes. He looked like he was ready for anything. "Remember," Minho said, "we are not here to fight. We are not here to conquer. We are here to say hello. That's all." The ship docked with a soft thud. The airlock hissed open. And for the first time in human history, people from Earth walked into an alien space station. The first thing Minho noticed was the silence. The station's main corridor was wide and filled with light. Shops lined both sides, selling things Minho could not identify. Aliens of every shape and size had been walking, talking, doing business just moments before. Now they had all stopped. Hundreds of eyes, some with pupils and some without, stared at the humans. A creature with 6 legs and a body like a spider turned and ran into a shop, pulling down a metal gate behind it. A tall being with blue skin and no face slowly backed away until it hit a wall. "Why are they staring at us?" Jisoo whispered. "I don't know," Minho whispered back. "Keep walking. Keep smiling. Don't show fear." They walked. The corridor was long, and with every step, more aliens scattered. Shops closed. Lights went off. It was as if the entire station was hiding from them. Byung-Hee moved closer to Minho. "Sir, I don't think they're happy to see us." "No," Minho agreed. "They're not." Jisoo was listening to the whispers around them. Her translation device was working hard, catching fragments of conversation from the fleeing aliens. "They're calling us something," she said. "I think it translates to the Undying. They keep saying the Undying are here." A small creature stepped out from behind a market stall. It was furry, with large eyes and ears that were too big for its head. It stood about waist-high to Minho and was trembling so hard that its fur was shaking. "Oh," Minho said gently, crouching down to meet the creature's eyes. "I'm Minho. What's your name?" The creature stared at him. Its translator device clicked and whirred. "I am Veth," it said in a high, frightened voice. "Well, my name is Veth, and I am also a Veth. It is what my species is called." Minho smiled. "It's nice to meet you, Veth. We came a long way to find someone to talk to." Veth's eyes grew even wider. "You came to talk? That is all?" "That is all." The small alien looked at the 3 humans. It looked at the empty corridor, at the closed shops, at all the places where other aliens were hiding. "The Council has told us many things about humans," Veth said slowly. "They have shown us your history, your wars, your weapons. They said you were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They said you would come to conquer us all." Jisoo knelt down next to Minho. "Is that what you believe?" Veth was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know what to believe. You do not look like monsters. But the Council has never lied to us before." Minho reached into his bag. Veth flinched, expecting a weapon. Instead, Minho pulled out a small package wrapped in colorful paper. "This is called chocolate," Minho said. "It's a food from our planet. It's very sweet. We brought it as a gift, to share with the first aliens we met." He held it out to Veth. The small creature stared at it like it was a bomb. "You brought gifts?" Veth's voice was confused. "You crossed the stars to bring us food?" "We crossed the stars because we were lonely," Minho said simply. "For our entire history, we looked up at the night sky and wondered if anyone else was out there. We dreamed about meeting other species, learning about other worlds, making friends among the stars. And now, finally, we have the chance. Veth took the chocolate with shaking hands. It opened the package and sniffed the brown squares inside. "This smells good," it admitted. "Try it," Jisoo encouraged. Veth put a small piece in its mouth. Its eyes went wide. Its ears stood straight up. Its whole body seemed to relax. This is wonderful," Veth exclaimed. "Nothing on this station tastes like this." Minho laughed. "We have more. Much more. We want to trade, Veth. We want to share what we have and learn what you have. That's why we came." Slowly, carefully, the shops began to open again. Aliens peeked out from behind doors and windows. They watched as the small Veth ate chocolate with the three humans, laughing and talking like old friends. One by one, they crept closer. A coral, its skin flashing with curious colors, approached Jisoo. "Is it true?" it asked through its translator. "Did you really come just to meet us?" "Yes," Jisoo said. "We have been dreaming about this moment for thousands of years." "But your weapons," another alien said. It was tall and thin, with skin that looked like bark. "We have seen the records. You created fire that could burn worlds." Byung-hee spoke for the first time. His voice was deep and calm. "Yes, we did. And we scared ourselves so badly that we swore never to use it. We still have those weapons, but we keep them locked away as a reminder of what we could become if we lose our way." "You made the fire," the tree-like alien said slowly, "and then you chose not to use it?" "It was the hardest choice we ever made," Byung-hee said. "But we made it. That's what humans do. We make mistakes, terrible mistakes, and then we learn from them. We try to be better." An hour later, the corridor was crowded again. But this time, the aliens were not running away. They were coming closer. They wanted to see the humans. They wanted to touch them, talk to them, understand them. Minho was surrounded by children of a dozen different species, all of them fascinated by his hair. Apparently, hair was rare in the galaxy, and they had never seen anything like it. Jisoo was deep in conversation with a group of scientists, exchanging information about languages and translation methods. Byung-hee, surprisingly, had attracted a group of young warriors from various species. They were asking about human combat techniques, and he was patiently explaining that humans preferred not to fight if they could avoid it. "But you are so good at it," one of them said. "We have seen the records. Humans are unstoppable in battle. We are good at it because we have had too much practice," Byung-hee said sadly. "We have been fighting each other for all of our history. It is not something we are proud of. It is something we are trying to leave behind." Veth had stayed by Minho's side the whole time. The small alien had eaten 3 more pieces of chocolate and was looking at the humans with new eyes. "I think I understand now," Veth said. "You are not monsters. You are just people. Strange, confusing, complicated people." Minho smiled. "That's the best description of humans I've ever heard. But I do not understand one thing," Veth continued. "The Council. They have been telling us for centuries that humans were a threat. They sent scouts to watch your planet. They made sure every species in the galaxy knew about your wars. Why would they do this if you are not dangerous?" Minho thought about the question. Maybe they were afraid of what we could become. Or maybe they were afraid of change. "We are something new, Veth. Something they have never seen before. And new things are always scary." Veth nodded slowly. "What will you do now? Will you go to meet the Council?" "Eventually," Minho said. "But first, we want to meet more people like you. Ordinary people, living their ordinary lives." We want to understand the galaxy before we try to change it." That night, the crew of the Dauntless ate dinner with Veth and a dozen other aliens. They shared food from Earth, from Vellum 7, from a dozen other worlds. They told stories and listened to stories. They laughed at jokes that barely translated, and somewhere in the great hall of the Valorian Empire, the council watched. High Arbiter Thulox stared at the images from Station Vellum 7. He saw the humans sharing food with aliens. He saw them playing with children. He saw them talking, laughing, connecting with species they had never met before. "This is worse than we feared," said Goreth the Dreth. "They are not conquering us with weapons. They are conquering us with kindness. In a generation, every species in the galaxy will love them." Thulox said nothing. He just watched the humans, these strange, confusing, complicated creatures. And for the first time in 3,000 years, he felt something he did not recognize. Hope. The news spread fast. The humans were not monsters. They were friendly. They shared food and told jokes. They played with children and traded with merchants. The terrible species from Earth, the ones the Council had warned about for centuries, were actually quite nice. The Dreth Syndicate heard this news and smiled. The Syndicate was not part of the Galactic Council. They operated in the dark spaces between stars, where law did not reach. They were slavers. They captured people from weaker species and sold them to the highest bidder. They had been doing this for 1,000 years. Their leader was a Dreth named Corax. He was massive, even for his species. His skin was like gray rock, and his forearms were thick with muscle. He had never lost a fight in his life. "These humans are soft," Corax said to his captains. The galaxy was afraid of nothing. "They are traders, not warriors. We should take some of them." His second-in-command, a scarred female named Threx, frowned. "The Council warned us about them. The archives say they are dangerous." Corax laughed. "The archives are old stories. I believe what I see. And I see a weak species pretending to be strong. If we capture some of their people, they will pay anything to get them back. Humans are said to care deeply about their own. We will be rich." 2 weeks later, the human cargo ship Bright Star was traveling through the Corin Nebula. It was a small vessel, carrying supplies to a new trading post the humans were building. There were 43 people on board. One of them was Medical Officer Yumbi Kang. She was 32 years old, with kind eyes and gentle hands. She had joined the space program because she wanted to help people, no matter what species they were. She never saw the attack coming. The Dreth ships came out of nowhere. They disabled the Bright Star's engines with a single shot. Then they boarded. The human crew tried to fight, but they had no weapons. They were captured in minutes. Yumbi found herself in a dark cell with 12 other humans. The walls were cold metal. The floor was dirty. There was no light except the dim glow from the ceiling. "What do they want?" asked a young engineer named Ji-hoon. "Ransom, probably," said the ship's captain, an older man named Wanjin. "They think Earth will pay to get us back." Yumbi looked around the cell. Some of her crewmates were injured. She could see cuts and bruises. One man was holding his arm at a strange angle. "We need medical supplies," she said loudly, hoping someone was listening. "We have injured people here." There was no answer. 3 days passed. The conditions in the cell got worse. The food was bad. The water was worse. The injured crew members were getting sicker. Yumbi did what she could with nothing, using torn cloth for bandages and her own body heat to keep the feverish warm. Then the door opened. Corax stepped inside. He had to bend down to fit through the doorway. His forearms crossed over his chest as he looked at the humans. "Weak," he said. "So weak. I could kill all of you with one hand." Captain Wanjin stood up. He was shorter than Korax by 2 feet and older by 30 years. But he did not look away. "What do you want?" Wanjin asked. "Your government will pay for your return," Korax said. "We have sent them our demands. 10 million credits for each of you. That is our price. And if they don't pay?" Korax smiled. His teeth were like broken stones. "Then we will sell you to people who pay well for exotic species. I hear there are collectors who would love to own a human." After he left, the crew sat in silence. "They won't pay," Ji-hoon said quietly. 10 million each? That's over 400 million credits. Earth can't afford that. Wanjin shook his head. "You don't know Earth. You don't know what we do when someone takes our people." On Earth, Admiral Taiwo Kim received the ransom demand. He read it once. Then he read it again. Then he called a meeting of the United Earth Defense Fleet's command staff. 43 of our people are being held by slavers, he said. They want 400 million credits for their return. Unipark, now a commander, looked at the details. The Dreth Syndicate. They operate outside council law. They've been slaving for centuries. No one has ever stopped them. How many ships do they have? Taiwo asked. Our intelligence says about 200, plus ground forces, weapons platforms, and a fortified homeworld. Taiwo nodded slowly. And how many ships do we have? 12 that are battle-ready, sir. The room was silent. 12 against 200. The numbers were impossible. Sir, said one of the junior officers, maybe we should negotiate. Pay a smaller amount. Get our people back without a fight. Taiwo turned to look at the young man. His eyes were cold. Let me tell you something about humanity, Taiwo said. We do not negotiate with people who take our children. We do not pay ransom to slavers. We do not accept that our people can be bought and sold. Do you understand? The officer swallowed. Yes, sir. Good. Taiwo turned back to the room. Prepare the fleet. We leave in 6 hours. The Retribution was the flagship of the attack force. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built, and Captain Sun-woo Beek commanded it. Sun-woo was 40 years old, with gray hair at his temples and a scar on his cheek from the collapse wars. He had been a soldier since he was 18. He had never lost a battle. Attention all ships, he said as the fleet approached Dreth space. This is Captain Beek. In a few hours, we will engage the enemy. They outnumber us. They outgun us. By any reasonable calculation, we should not be here. He paused. But we are not reasonable. We are human. And somewhere on that planet, 43 of our people are waiting for us. They do not know we are coming. They may think they have been abandoned, but they have not been abandoned. We are coming for them, and nothing in this galaxy will stop us. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel above the Dreth homeworld. 200 Syndicate ships rose to meet them. Korax watched from his command center on the planet's surface. He laughed when he saw the human fleet. 12 ships? He said to Thrax. They sent 12 ships? Are they insane? Perhaps they are brave, Thrax said quietly. Bravery and stupidity are the same thing, Korax replied. Destroy them. The battle began. For the first hour, it seemed like Korax was right. The human ships were outnumbered and outgunned. They took hit after hit. Their shields flickered. Their hulls cracked. But they did not retreat. Captain Sun-woo's voice was calm over the radio. All ships, execute pattern Sigma. Let them come to us. The human ships spread out. They moved in ways the Dreth had never seen. Instead of fighting in formation, they fought like individuals, each ship covering the others, taking risks that seemed insane. A Dreth battleship cornered the human vessel Starlight. 3 Syndicate ships moved in for the kill. And then, impossibly, the Retribution dropped out of nowhere, having jumped through the middle of the battle at faster-than-light speed for just a fraction of a second. The 3 Syndicate ships were destroyed before they knew what had happened. "How did they do that?" Korak shouted. "That's impossible. You can't jump inside a battle zone." "They just did," Threk said. The battle turned. The humans used every trick, every technique, every desperate measure they had learned from centuries of fighting each other. They fought dirty. They fought smart. They refused to die. 6 hours later, the Syndicate fleet was broken. 120 ships destroyed. 50 more disabled. The rest had fled. Captain Sunwoo landed on the planet with 500 soldiers. They fought through the streets of the Syndicate's capital. They broke through the walls of the prison complex. And they found the 43 humans. Yunbi Kang heard the explosions getting closer. She heard gunfire and screaming. And then the door to her cell was blown off its hinges. A human soldier stood in the doorway. His armor was burned and dented. His face was covered in soot, but his eyes were bright. "Medical Officer Kang?" he asked. "Yes," she said, her voice shaking. "We're here to take you home." Korax was captured trying to flee. Captain Sunwoo stood before him as the massive Dreth was forced to his knees. "You don't understand," Korax said. "We are warriors. We have never been defeated. We have conquered dozens of species." Sunwoo grabbed him by the neck and pulled him close. "Neither have we. The difference is, we don't start fights, but we always finish them." He let go and turned away. "Put him in chains. He'll be tried for his crimes." Later, as the rescued humans were being treated on the Retribution, a Syndicate medic was brought to the medical bay. He had been injured in the fighting. Yunbi Kang treated him. The alien stared at her with confusion. "I don't understand. I am your enemy. My people hurt you. Why are you helping me?" Yunbi finished bandaging his wounds and looked at him with tired, kind eyes. "Because you're hurt," she said simply. "And I'm a doctor. That's what we do." The galaxy watched. They saw the 12 human ships defeat 200. They saw the humans rescue their people against impossible odds. They saw the humans fight with terrifying skill. And then they saw the humans treat their enemies' wounds. They did not know what to think. These creatures were monsters in battle and angels in peace. They were death and mercy in the same body. High Arbiter Thulox watched the reports from his chamber. "What are they?" he whispered to himself. He did not have an answer. But somewhere, deep in his ancient heart, he felt the beginning of understanding. The humans were not one thing. They were everything, all at once. And that was what made them terrifying. 10 years had passed since the humans came to the stars. 10 years of change, growth, and wonder. Humanity had built trading posts across the galaxy. Their ships carried goods from Earth to 100 different worlds. Coffee and chocolate had become the most valuable commodities in 3 sectors. Human music played in alien bars. Human books were translated into 1,000 languages. But more than that, humanity had built something else, a reputation. When a plague struck the coral homeworld, human doctors were the first to arrive. They worked for months without rest, treating millions of sick aliens. When a star was about to explode near a Veth colony, human ships evacuated the entire population, saving 3 billion lives. When pirates attacked the trade convoy, human warships appeared and destroyed them without mercy. The galaxy did not know what to make of these strange creatures. They were kind and cruel, gentle and fierce. They would give their lives to save a stranger, and they would burn worlds to avenge a friend. Admiral Taiwu Kim stood on the bridge of the newest human battleship, the Unity. He was 73 years old now, and his body was tired. but his mind was sharp and his will was iron. "Sir," said Commander Unipark, now his second in command, "we're receiving intelligence from our contact." Taiwu nodded. "Put it through." The screen flickered and a familiar face appeared. It was Veth, the small alien merchant from Station Velen 7. 10 years ago, he had been the first to welcome humans to the galaxy. Now he was one of their closest friends. "Admiral," Veth said, his voice heavy with worry, "I have bad news. The Council's war faction is mobilizing. They are gathering a fleet." Taiwu's expression did not change. "How many ships?" 3,000, at last count. Maybe more. They are calling it the cleansing. They plan to destroy all human colonies and drive your species back to Earth. Eunice sucked in a breath. 3,000 ships. We have 200 at most. "I know," Beth said. "I tried to stop them. Many of us tried. But the fear is too strong. The Council has been watching humans for 10 years now. They have seen what you can do. And they are more afraid than ever." Taiwu leaned back in his chair. "Who is leading this?" "High Commander Goroth of the Dreth. He has convinced half the Council that you must be stopped now, before you grow any stronger. High Arbiter Thulox opposed him, but he was outvoted. When will they attack?" 1 month. Maybe less. They are gathering at the Corvin Expanse. "Admiral, I am sorry. I wish I could do more." "You have done enough, old friend," Taiwu said. "Thank you for the warning. Stay safe." The screen went dark. Taiwu sat in silence for a long moment. "Sir," Eunice said quietly, "what do we do?" Taiwu looked at her. For a moment, he looked every one of his 73 years. Then something changed in his eyes. A fire that had been burning since the Collapse Wars. A determination that had never died. "Call the Joint Chiefs," he said. "Call every shipyard, every colony, every human in the galaxy. We have work to do." The meeting took place on Earth. In a bunker deep beneath the mountains of Korea, the leaders of every human nation and colony were present, either in person or by hologram. "We are outnumbered 15 to 1, Taiwu said, showing them the tactical display. "The Council fleet has more firepower than anything we have ever faced. By any reasonable measure, we cannot win this fight. Then we should negotiate," said the President of the European Federation. "Offer them something. Find a peaceful solution." "There is no peaceful solution," Taiwu replied. "They do not want our resources. They do not want our territory. They want us gone. They want to make sure that humanity never threatens them again." "Then, what do you suggest?" asked the leader of the Asian Union. Taiwu changed the display. It showed a massive structure, a ring of metal and light floating in space. "For the last 5 years, we have been building this in secret. We call it the Gateway. It is a slipgate, a device that can transport ships instantly across vast distances. The Council does not know it exists." The room was silent as they processed this information. "We have also been building ships in secret. Not the 200 the Council has counted, but 2,000. They are hidden in asteroid fields, in deep space, in places no one would think to look." 2,000 ships, Una breathed. "Taiwu, you old fox." Taiwu allowed himself a small smile. "I learned a long time ago that you never show your enemy everything you have. Let them think we are weak. Let them come for us. And when they do, we will show them what humanity really is." The preparations took 3 weeks. Ships were gathered, crews were trained, plans were made. Every human who could hold a weapon volunteered to fight. Every factory worked day and night to build more equipment. And on the night before the fleet departed, Admiral Taiwu Kim walked alone through the memorial garden outside Seoul. He stopped at a stone with 2 names carved into it. His wife, his daughter, lost in the collapse wars so many years ago. I don't know if you can hear me, he said quietly. I don't know if there's anything after death. But I want you to know that I never stopped fighting. I never stopped trying to make things better. Everything I've done for you, for the world we wanted to build. He placed his hand on the cold stone. We're about to face the biggest battle in human history. I don't know if we'll win, but I know we won't give up. That's not who we are. That's not who you raised me to be. A tear rolled down his weathered cheek. Wait for me a little longer. I still have work to do. The next morning, the human fleet gathered at the gateway. 2,000 ships, carrying 5 million soldiers and crew. The largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Captain Minho Lee stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, the same ship that had made first contact 10 years ago. He was older now, his hair touched with gray, but his eyes were still sharp. All ships report ready, his communications officer said. Minho looked at the fleet around him. So many ships, so many people, all of them willing to fight for humanity's right to exist. Open a channel to the fleet, he said. Channel open, sir. Minho took a deep breath. This is Captain Lee of the Dauntless. In a few minutes, we will jump to the Corvin Expanse to face the largest enemy fleet the galaxy has ever seen. They outnumber us. They think they can destroy us. They think we are just another species to be conquered. He paused. They are wrong. We are not just another species. We are human. We have survived ice ages and plagues. We have survived wars and disasters. We have survived everything the universe has thrown at us, and we are still here. We will survive this too. Today, we do not fight for territory or resources. We fight for our children, for our future, for our right to exist. We fight for everyone who has ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of what might be out there. The galaxy feared us for centuries. Today, they will learn why. The gateway activated. A ring of light expanded in space, a door to another part of the galaxy. All ships. Admiral Tai-Woo Kim's voice came over the radio. Jump on my mark. The 2,000 human ships aligned with the gateway. 3, 2, 1, mark. And in a flash of light, they were gone dot far away at the Corvin Expanse. The Council fleet waited. 3,000 ships, representing 12 species, all gathered for one purpose, the destruction of humanity. High Commander Gorath stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the empty space where the humans would appear. They will come, he said to his officers. Their scouts have seen our fleet. They know we are here, and they are too stubborn to run. But they only have 200 ships, one of his officers said. Surely they won't be foolish enough to fight. Gorath shook his head. You still don't understand them. Humans do not run from fights they cannot win. They run toward them. It is the most terrifying thing about them. An alarm sounded. Commander, energy spike detected. Something is coming through. Gorath looked at the view screen. A point of light appeared in space, growing larger and larger. Here they come, he whispered. He expected 200 ships. He did not expect 2,000. The human fleet emerged from the gateway in perfect formation. 2,000 vessels, more than anyone had thought humanity possessed. They spread across space like a storm of steel and fire. Gorath stared. His officers stared. The entire Council fleet stared. That's impossible, someone whispered on the Unity. Admiral Tai-Woo Kim opened a channel to the Council fleet. This is Admiral Kim of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You have entered human sovereign space with hostile intent. I am required by law to offer you one chance to withdraw. He paused and smiled. I am also required to tell you that I genuinely hope you don't take it. The battle that followed would be remembered for 1,000 years. High Commander Gorath stared at the human fleet. 2,000 ships where he had expected 200. His advantage had been 15-1. Now it was barely 3-2. How did they hide so many ships? He demanded. Our scouts watched them for years. No one had an answer. Admiral Taiwu Kim's voice came over the communication channel. You have 1 hour to withdraw. After that, we will consider you hostile and respond with force. Gorath's pride would not let him retreat. He had brought 12 species together for this moment. He had promised them victory. He would not go back empty-handed. All ships, he commanded. Attack formation. Destroy them. The Council fleet moved forward. 3,000 ships arranged in perfect lines, following battle tactics that had worked for millennia. They had won 100 wars this way. They would win this one too. At least, that was what Gorath believed. The human fleet did not form lines. They did not follow any pattern that Gorath recognized. Instead, they spread out in chaos, each ship moving independently, dancing through space like leaves in the wind. What are they doing? Gorath demanded. They're breaking formation. Sir, our targeting computers can't track them, his weapons officer said, panic in his voice. They keep changing course. They're too unpredictable. The first wave of Council ships reached the human lines. And then the chaos truly began. Human ships did not fight like other species. They fought like each captain was independent, making decisions in split seconds, taking risks that seemed insane. A human cruiser would charge straight at a Council battleship, then spin away at the last moment, firing into the larger ship's engines. Human destroyers worked in pairs, one drawing fire while the other attacked from behind. And when a human ship was damaged, it did not retreat. It kept fighting until it could not fight anymore. And sometimes, when a ship was too damaged to continue, its crew would aim for the nearest enemy and accelerate. The Council fleet had never seen anything like it. Captain Minho Lee stood on the bridge of the Dauntless as fire exploded around him. His ship was at the center of the battle, leading a formation of 50 vessels against a Council carrier group. Hull breach on Deck 7. His damage control officer shouted. Seal it and keep fighting, Minho ordered. Target the carrier's engines. The Dauntless was old now. She had been the first human ship to make contact with aliens 10 years ago. She had survived 100 battles since then. But she was hurt. Badly hurt. Sir, we've lost main power to the forward weapons, his weapons officer reported. We're down to secondary batteries. Minho looked at the view screen. The Council carrier was directly ahead, protected by a dozen smaller ships. If it was allowed to escape, it would release its fighters and attack the human rear. Navigation, Minho said calmly, set a collision course with the carrier. His bridge crew looked at him in shock. Sir, you heard me. All hands, prepare to abandon ship. The Dauntless accelerated. The Council ships tried to stop her, but she was moving too fast, taking too much damage to care. Minho's crew evacuated to the escape pods as the old ship charged forward. Minho stayed at the helm. He opened a channel to the Council fleet. This is Captain Minho Lee of the UEDF Dauntless. 10 years ago, I came to this galaxy in peace. I brought chocolate and friendship. I asked for nothing but a chance to say hello. The carrier grew larger on his view screen. You could have been our friends. You could have welcomed us. Instead, you chose fear. You chose war. He pushed the engines to maximum. Tell your gods we said hello. The Dauntless struck the carrier at full speed. Both ships disappeared in a ball of fire. But Minho Lee did not die. At the last second, his crew had overridden his commands. They had dragged him to an escape pod and launched it before the impact. He woke up floating in space, watching the fireball that had been his ship. You idiots, he whispered. I was supposed to go down with her. A rescue shuttle picked him up 20 minutes later. Commander Una Park was waiting inside. Don't be dramatic, she said, handing him a blanket. We still need you. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Council fleet, despite its numbers, could not adapt to the human style of warfare. Their predictable tactics became a weakness. Their rigid formations became traps. Human ships took terrible losses, but for every human vessel destroyed, 3 Council ships went down. The math was slowly turning. And then the Council flagship fell. Admiral Taiwu Kim had led the assault personally. The Unity and her battle group had fought through the heart of the Council formation, taking hit after hit, until they reached Gorath's command ship. Target their bridge, Taiwu ordered. Sir, their shields are still at 40%. Then we'll have to do this the old way. Taiwu looked at his helmsman. Full speed ahead. Ram them. The Unity struck the Council flagship like a hammer. Both ships' shields collapsed. The Unity's front section crumpled, but she drove forward, pushing the enemy vessel back, pinning it against a Council cruiser behind it. Human boarding parties swarmed onto the flagship. They fought through the corridors, room by room, deck by deck. Admiral Taiwu Kim led from the front. He was 73 years old, but he moved like a man half his age. His soldiers followed him through fire and blood until they reached the bridge. High Commander Gorath was waiting for them. The Dreth warrior was twice Taiwu's size. He had 4 arms, each one strong enough to tear a human apart. He had never lost a fight in his life. You think you've won? Gorath roared. Kill me, and another will take my place. The galaxy will never stop fearing you. Taiwu lowered his weapon. You're right, he said. The galaxy will always fear us. But that's not our fault. That's yours. You spent 3,000 years telling everyone that we were monsters. You made them afraid before we ever arrived. And now, you've proven that you're the real monsters. He stepped closer to the massive alien. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to be part of something bigger. We came because we were lonely. And you couldn't accept that. You couldn't imagine that a species might be both dangerous and kind. Gorath stared at him. What are you going to do? Kill me? Enslave my people? That's what conquerors do. No, Taiwu said. That's what you do. We're different. He turned to his soldiers. Take him prisoner. Treat him well. He'll stand trial for his crimes. The battle ended 3 hours later. The Council fleet was broken. Half their ships were destroyed. The rest had surrendered or fled. The 12 species that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years had been defeated by a single planet. High Arbiter Thulox came to the Unity under a flag of truce. He was old, so old that he could barely walk. But he came in person as a sign of respect. Admiral Taiwu Kim met him in the ship's conference room. Both leaders were tired. Both had lost friends in the battle. But both knew that the fighting had to end. I surrender, Thulox said simply. On behalf of the Valorian Empire and the Galactic Council, I offer our complete surrender. Taiwu nodded. I accept. But this isn't about surrender. This is about peace. Peace? Thulox looked at him with his ancient crystal eyes. After everything we did to you? After the battle that just happened? Especially after all that. Taiwu sat down, gesturing for Thulox to do the same. We didn't fight this war because we wanted to conquer you. We fought because you gave us no choice. Now that it's over, we can start again. Thulox was silent for a long moment. Then he asked a question that had been burning in his mind for years. What are you, truly? In all my centuries, I have never seen a species like you. You fight like demons and heal like angels. You terrify us and fascinate us. What are you? Taiwu thought about the question. He thought about his wife and daughter, lost so long ago. He thought about all the humans who had died in wars and disasters and the long struggle to reach the stars. "We're just people," he said finally. "We love our families. We fear death. We hope for better things. We're no different from you in any way that matters." He leaned forward. "But we're stubborn. We refused to die when the ice came. We refused to die when the plagues came. We refused to die when we split the atom, when our governments fell, when everything seemed hopeless. And we refuse to die now." He stood and offered his hand to Thulax. "You prayed we wouldn't come. But here's the thing about humans. We don't answer to your gods. We answer to each other. We promised ourselves, a long time ago, that we would reach the stars. No prayer in the universe was going to stop us." Thulax looked at the hand. In his culture, touching another being was a sign of deep trust. He reached out and took it. "Then perhaps," Thulax said slowly, "we should pray together. Not for protection from you, but for the wisdom to understand you." Taiwu smiled. "That sounds like a good start." 50 years later, the galaxy was a different place. The Galactic Council still existed, but now humanity held a seat. Trade flowed between species that had once been enemies. Human medicine had saved billions of lives. Human music and art had spread to every corner of the galaxy. On Station Velen 7, where it all began, a statue stood in the main plaza. It showed Captain Minholi and Veth, the small alien merchant, sharing chocolate. Below it was a plaque that read, "First Friends." Veth had died of old age 10 years ago, surrounded by his human friends. His grandchildren played with human children every day,